ॐ दक्षिणस्य समारम्भा शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमा अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ता स्मर्या गुरुपरम्परा श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। परिज्ञानाश्रम श्रीगुरुशङ्कर परिज्ञानाश्रम शङ्कर सद्गुरु केशववामन कृष्णपाण्डुरङ्ग आनन्द परिज्ञानगुरु सद्यो जात शङ्कर सद्गुरु गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Now we have come to the sixth verse of the third valley of the second chapter. We are in the last valley. We are almost landing now. We are almost coming to an end of Kathopanishad. And yesterday, the last session, I just introduced to you the sixth verse. Now, after having talked about this Brahma Swarupam in the first verse, second verse, and then saying that this knowledge is really very clearly available only in the human Janma. And if in human Janma, if a person does not make use of this life, this Janma, for getting this knowledge, then we have lost an opportunity. Mahati vinashti. The loss is great. An opportunity lost because next life, which kind of a life I'm going to get, which kind of a body I'm going to get, I do not know. And also, Yamadharmaraja said in the previous verse, in the sixth verse, that it is not as if it is this knowledge is available only in human birth. It is available in three other births. In three other lokas, this knowledge, Atma Jnanam, is available. But how is it available? He said that in the human life, it is very clear. This knowledge, the buddhi that is equipped, that buddhi which is there, a prepared buddhi, an equipped buddhi in a human organism, in a human body, is the ideal buddhi to receive this knowledge. And therefore, this knowledge has been actually, it is meant for human jivas. And so, Yamadharma Raja says, it is yatha adarshe atmani, yatha tatha atmani, yatha adarshe tatha atmani. He said that just like you look at the mirror and you find a clear reflection which you are able to see as reflection, differentiate it from yourself and see that you are not the same as reflection but different from that reflection. You are the original and the reflection is false. Very clearly, this knowledge is available to us in the human birth. Whereas there are other three lokas, there are other three births in which this particular knowledge may be available, but it is not very easy and it is not very simple to get it. And he told about different other lokas, Pitraloka. He said in Pitraloka also this knowledge is possible. But how is this knowledge got in Pitraloka? It is a very confused kind of a vague kind of knowledge, just like we are watching a dream. When we are watching a dream, in the dream, it may be clear. Sometimes in the dream also, the dreams are very vague. And when we wake up, we can't even remember those dreams. And that knowledge which we get in the dream is a very, very vague knowledge. We can't learn anything new in the dream. You have to understand that very clearly. In dream, can we learn anything new? We can't learn anything new. And whatever knowledge is there in the dream, it's a very, very vague knowledge. And if I am a Pitru, born in the Pitraloka, This knowledge of Atmajnana can be there, but it is so vague that it cannot be properly imbibed. This knowledge cannot be imbibed in Pitraloka because this knowledge is very, very vague as that in a dream. He also said, Yatha apsu pariva dadrishe tatha gandharva loke. If you look at your reflection in water, how clear can the reflection be? Even in very, very still waters, the reflection can be seen, but it is not very clear. With little bit of difference, a little bit of waves in water, ripples in water, the reflection of the face is not clearly seen. So in Gandharva Loka also, this knowledge is possible, but it is highly impossible to imbibe this knowledge. That is because in the Gandharva Loka also, this knowledge is very vague. And what example does he give for vagueness? It is as though I'm looking at my reflection in a body of water. When I look at my reflection in water, how unclear it is, and more muddy the water is, more moving the water is, the reflection is more disturbed. Therefore, in Gandharva Loka also, in a Jiva, in Gandharva Loka, this knowledge of Atmajnana is very, very vague, very, very moving, not a very clear knowledge as it is got in Manusha Loka. Then he said, is it possible to get this knowledge in Brahma Loka? Yes, it is possible. It is as clear as in Manusha Loka. In Brahma Loka, it is Chaya Tapau Iva. In Brahma Loka, different lokas we have already seen in Bhagavad Gita. Brahma Loka is the highest of the 14 lokas. In that loka also, if I am born in Brahma Loka, if I go to Brahma Loka after this life, this knowledge can be very clearly understood there because Chaturmukha Brahma himself comes as a teacher, and with this knowledge I can get Krama Mukti. But we have already seen in the 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita how difficult it is for a human jiva to be born in Brahmaloka. Number one, I have to be an upasaka, a very, very great upasaka. I have to be a yogi. Thirdly, when I die, I should be capable of directing my jiva from the Sushumna Nadi, through the Brahmarandra, through the Shuklagati, across the disk of the sun to Brahmaloka. That is the Gati given, Shuklagati. We saw that. Shuklagati and Krishna Gati we saw in Bhagavad Gita itself. Two types of Gatis. Those who are Upasakas, they get a higher loka, they go to what is called as a Brahma Loka. Those who are mere karmis, through the Krishna Marga or Krishna Gati, they come back to the higher lokas like Swarga Loka. We have already seen that. Therefore, going to Brahma Loka, getting a visa to Brahma Loka is so difficult. And therefore, what is easier? If the same knowledge is available with the same clarity in the human life and in the Brahmaloka, should I wait for me, for this jiva, to go to Brahmaloka and get this knowledge? Is it not worth in this life where I have been given this durlabham janma, narajanma, which is durlabham, which I have got it in this the Manusha Loka itself? Is it not possible for me to get this knowledge? It's much easier. I'm already here. I don't have to wait to go to Brahmaloka to get this knowledge. I'm already here and my buddhi is equipped for this knowledge. The Shastra is there for this knowledge for me, the human being. The Guru is available for me for this knowledge when such a very, very wonderful occasion and such comfortable situation is available for me to get this knowledge. Why should I not get this knowledge in this Janma itself? That is what he says in the 5th verse, saying that, every other loka, wherever it is possible, the knowledge is very fleeting, very impermanent, very disturbed, but clear knowledge, like I look at a reflection in the mirror, or like day and night in Brahmaloka, it is possible. But then I am already here, and let me make use of this human birth to get this knowledge and get free from this bondage of samsara once and for all. That's what he said in the fifth verse, which we saw in the last session. Now, the sixth verse, the seventh verse, and the eighth verse, again, Lord Yama is going to talk about Atma Anatma Viveka, because this is the concluding Valli. If you are aware, this is the concluding Valli, and then because it is a concluding Valli, Yamadharmaraja wants to kind of round up or wind up whatever he has been talking about in the previous verses. Atma and Atma Viveka has been already talked about in the first chapter and the third Valli, but this being a summary of all the five chapters, previous five Vallis, he wants to talk again about Atma Anatma Viveka, saying that what is the object of this knowledge? What is the purpose of this knowledge? The purpose of this knowledge is to understand that I am not the body mind sense complex. I am not the Anatma, but I am the Sakshi Chaitanya Atma, who is the very Adhishtanam, who gives Satta and Spurti to all the Anatma, to the world of names and forms, to this body mind sense complex also. I am that Chaitanya Swarupa Atma, which gives satta or existence, spurti or consciousness to all the anatma. Therefore, knowing myself not to be the anatma but that atma is the most important aspect of this knowledge of Atma Jnana. Therefore, in the sixth verse, seventh verse, and the eighth verse, which we will see today, Yamadharmaraja is going to talk again about Atma Jnana in the form of Atma Anatma Viveka. So, I just introduced the sixth verse last time. So, let's see again. Indriyanam pritak bhavam udayastamayau chayat पृथग् उत्पद्यमानानां मत्वा धीरो न शोचति. Am I the Indriyas? Am I the body mind sense complex, the Indriyas? No. These Indriyas, all the sense organs, Jnanendriyas and Karmendriyas, what happens? They arise and they set in various avasthas. In the Jagrat Avastha, they are fully awake, all the sense organs. In the Swapna Avastha, they are partially awake. There are different set of sense organs in the Swapna sense organs. So my regular sense organs are not working in Swapna. In Sushupti Avastha also, these sense organs are not there. Therefore, these sense organs arise, Udaya and Astamau. That is Udaya, Astamayau cha yat. These sense organs, Indriyas, are nothing but rising and setting in various avasthas. Then, Prithak Utpadyamananam, all these Indriyas and their bhavas, all the Indriyas and their Vyavaharas and all the objects of the Indriyas are made up of Panchabhutas. They are Panchabhautika, whereas I, the consciousness, is not Panchabhautika. I am the consciousness which is not made up of any elements. From me, all the elements come. Whereas all the sense organs are panchabhautikas. They are all apanchikrita pancha mahabhutani. They are all the pancha mahabhutas. In the non-grossified form, they are called as the indriyas. In the grossified form, called the panchikrita pancha mahabhutas, it becomes the world of objects, which are the objects of the senses. Therefore, if the sense organs are arising and setting, rising and setting in different avasthas, and the sense organs and their various bhavas, that is, their various objects, are made up of panchabhutas, then am I them? Am I the sense organs? I am not the sense organs, because the sense organs rise and set. I do not rise and set. I am the Nitya Atma, constantly there, constantly revealing myself. Ahamasmi, ahamasmi, iti constantly. I am revealing myself and I am constantly revealing everything that is there. I am constantly revealing. I am revealing the sense organs also. I am aware of my sense organs. I am aware of the sense objects. I am aware of how the sense organs are actually working, and therefore I am not the sense organs, because the sense organs rise and fall. I do not rise and set. The sense organs are made up of Panchabhutas, but I am not made up of Panchabhutas. Therefore, I am not the Indriyas. Then who am I? Aham Brahma Asmi. And people who know this, that I am not the body, mind, sense complex Indriyas, but I am Brahma Asmi, I am that consciousness, I am that Brahman, which is the Adhishtanam of all the Anatma, Matva, Dhiro, Na Sochati. Dhiraha, Matva. Matva what? I am not the sense organs, but I am that Sakshi Chaitanya Atma, because of which all the sense organs are known, because of which all the sense organs are working. Who am I? I am not the Shrotrendriya, I am the Shrotrasya Shrotram. I am not the Manaha, but who am I? Manaso Manoyam. I am the mind of the mind. And am I the Vak Indriya? No. I am the Vak of the Vak, or the consciousness behind Vak. Pranasya Prana Aham. Who am I? I am the breath of the breath, or Vayu of the Vayu. So therefore, I am the consciousness behind each and every Indriya, but I am not the Indriya itself. That is what he says in the sixth verse. In the seventh and eighth verses, again, the same thing which was told in the first chapter, third Valli, in the 10th and 11th verses, the same thing was told about Indriyebhyaha Parahi Arthebhyaha Paramanaha. We have seen that earlier, but then the same thing, the two verses are explained again in Atma Anatma Viveka in the seventh verse and eighth verse. Therefore, I will not take much time, as I have taken in the first chapter, third Vali, 10th and 11th verses. I have in great detail explained the Atma Anatma Viveka, and here in the seventh verse and eighth verse, Bhagwan Yamadharmaraja says how one can transcend the gross anatma and come to the atma and abide in atma. See, I am so used to the gross anatma outside. My mind is used to seeing the anatma as it is. My mind is used to operating in the region of anatma, and since the Vyavahara of the Anatma body mind sense complex with the Jagat outside is so gross, my mind also is very gross at the moment. And when the Upanishad tells me you are not the Anatma body mind sense complex, but you are nothing but this Sakshi Chaitanya Atma, the subtlest beyond which there is no other thing, the subtlest thing that is ever is you, the consciousness. This is what the Shastra tells me. Now, for this mind to straight away jump from the grossest Anatma body to the subtlest of the Atma and abide in the Satma Swarupa is not possible. Therefore, how should I go about it? I should go from the grossest to the subtlest through various stages. And as I told you, our scriptures utilize or use many of the modalities of treatment in this. And here, going from the grossest body to the subtlest Atma, it can be done in various steps. One is what is called as the Panchakosha Viveka, where one starts with the body and then understands that the body is Anatma, goes to the prana. From prana, one goes, jumps inside into the manaha. Then the next it goes, the person jumps into the, buddhi, and then into the karanam, that is, karana anandamaya, that is annamaya, to pranamaya, to manomaya, to vijnanamaya, to anandamaya. Slowly, a person retreats backwards from the grossest to the subtlest slowly. From the grossest body, the person has to go to the next subtler layer, which is the karanam of this body called pranamaya, and understand that this annamaya is mithya. Slowly from pranamaya, I have to move back to manomaya and understand that both annamaya and pranamaya are koshas and they are mithya. From Manomaya, I have to jump backwards, come one step backwards to Vijnanamaya or Buddhi, one step backwards to Anandamaya or the Bhokta, and then I have to come the last step backwards, which is nothing but the Atma. This is called as the Panchakosha Viveka. I know it is very difficult to understand. Remember only one thing, that our minds are not capable of straight away understanding this Atma from the level where we are. We are now at the level of the body as the reality. And to come to Atma and abide in the Atma Swarup as reality, it is difficult for us because our minds are not used to that. So, slowly, very slowly, I have to withdraw myself from the grosser layers to the subtler layers, to the subtler layers, subtler layers, and then I have to come to the Atma. This is what is called as the Panchakosha Viveka, which is talked about in the Taittiriya Upanishad. It was already talked about in the same Upanishad in the first chapter, in the third Vali, in the 10th and 11th verses, but here he is revising it again. So let us see the 7th verse. इन्द्रियेभ्यः परं मनः मनसः सत्त्वमुत्तमम् सत्त्वादधि महानात्मा महतो अव्यक्तमुत्तमम्. So he says here that Indriyas, he started from the previous, he is not taking the body, the Annamaya, he is starting straight from the Indriyas, from the Sukshma Sharira only. Because the previous verse talked about Indriyas, saying that I am not the Indriyas. I am the very Sakshi Chaitanya of the Indriyas. So, how do I come backwards? How do I come to the subtler layers of myself from the Indriyas? If I take this first step as Indriyas, how do I come to the subtler layers? He says, Indriyebhyaha param manaha. The mind is subtler than the Indriyas. Naturally, because the Indriyas report to the mind. The mind is subtler than the Indriyas. So, if I am identifying myself with the Indriyas, I have to withdraw myself from the identification of the Indriyas and move one step inside, subtler, deeper, and abide myself in the mind. So, Indriyebhyaha param manaha. Therefore, I am nearer to Atma now. Manasaha sattvam uttamam. The buddhi is subtler to the mind. Therefore, from the mind, I have to go one step inside to the buddhi. Then he says, Sattvadhadi Mahan Atma. From this Vyashti Buddhi, the Samashti Buddhi is still subtler. What is this buddhi? This buddhi is nothing but the samashti buddhi that is available within this body mind sense complex. And therefore, the samashti buddhi, which is called as mahat principle, the samashti buddhi is subtler than the vyashti buddhi. So, sattvad adhi mahan atma. So, the indriyas are gross. Subtler than the Indriyas is the mind. So I have to bring myself one step backwards from the or inwards from the Indriyas and abide in the mind. And then from the mind I have to jump inwards one more step, which is buddhi, which is subtler and interior to the mind. And then I have to jump one more step inside or to the subtler area, which is called as the Samashti Buddhi. The Vyashti Buddhi, which is available in this body mind sense complex. Vyashti means the individual Buddhi. This Buddhi, which I am having now, individual Buddhi, is nothing but the Samashti Buddhi, which is available in this body mind sense complex. Therefore, subtler than and higher than this Vyashti Buddhi is Samashti Buddhi, Sattvad Adhi Mahan Atma. Mahataha Avyaktam Uttamam. Mahataha, from this Mahat principle or Samashti Buddhi, what is subtler and what is more Vyapaka and subtler? It is Maya or Prakriti, which is subtler. Avyaktam. Avyaktam means what? Maya or Prakriti or Samashti Karana Shariram. In Panchakosha Viveka, what do we say? From Annamaya, we have to disidentify ourselves from Annamaya and abide in Pranamaya. Next step, disidentify from Pranamaya and jump inwards to Manomaya. Then disidentify myself from Manomaya to Vijnanamaya, which is Buddhi. From Vijnanamaya, I have to jump still inwards to the one of the subtlest matter principles, which is called as the Karana Sharira or Anandamaya Kosha. So from the Sthula Sharira to the Sukshma Sharira to the Karana Sharira, in 5 steps, I go inwards and into the subtler realms of myself, and from there I have to jump into my real nature Atma. Here, what does the Upanishad say? It says, from the Vyashti Buddhi, straight away he wants to go to Brahman. Upanishad Acharya wants to go to Brahman straight away and says that Vyashti Buddhi is still grosser, whereas Samashti Buddhi is subtler than the Vyashti Buddhi. May you understand that you are not this Vyashti Buddhi, but you are nothing but that Samashti Buddhi, Mahataha Avyaktam Param, and subtler than the Samashti Buddhi, subtler than the Samashti Sukshma Sharira is Samashti Karana Shariram, which is called as Maya, which is also called as Prakriti. I'm not explaining this more in detail because I have already explained this earlier. Then in the next verse he says, Avyaktattu paraha purushaha vyapako alinga eva cha yam nyatva muchyate jantuhu amritatvam cha gacchati. So, Avyaktattu paraha purushaha. Avyaktat, from this Maya principle or from Prakriti or Samashti Karana Sharira, there is that subtlest Brahman or Atma beyond which there is no question of going any deeper or further, because that is the ultimate. That's what was told in the 11th verse of the third Vali. Purushat tu na param kinchit sa kashta sa paragatihi. That Purusha or that Atma or that Brahman is the ultimate, the subtlest reality. Nothing other than that. There is nothing more than that, nothing deeper than that. And therefore, here also he says, Avyaktatu paraha purushaha. Purushaha avyaktattu paraha. Avyaktat, from compared to the Samashti Karana Sharira or Maya, Avyaktat, paraha purushaha. Subtler than the Samashti Karana Shariram or Maya is Purushaha. Purushaha means consciousness. Where is this Purushaha? Purushaha is inside me also, outside me also. Outside me, it is called as Brahman, which is the Adhishtanam of the entire universe. Inside me, it is called as Atma. And then, why is it called Purushaha? When it is inside me, Purishete iti Purushaha. Purishete. That consciousness which is available in this Navadvare Pure or Ekadashadvare Puri, which is there, that consciousness which is available within this 9 or 11 gated Pura is called as Purushaha. Puri Shete. That which is available in this Pura or in this city of 9 gates as per Bhagavad Gita, 11 gates as we saw in Kathopanishad. Then, from the point of view of the outside, this consciousness is there outside also. Purusha means what? Purayati sarvam iti purushaha. That which completes everything. That because of which everything exists. That because of which the whole world is created, sustained, and resolved. That because of which the Vyashti and the Samashti Vyavaharas are taking place. Therefore, Purayati Sarvam iti Purushaha. From the point of view of Samashti, This consciousness is called as Purushaha because Purayati Sarvam, that which is available everywhere, that which is all pervading, Purayati Sarvam iti Purushaha. From the standpoint of this body mind sense complex, Purishete iti Purushaha. Purishete, that which is available within this body mind sense complex as that consciousness, this is called as Purushaha. So Avyakta Paraha Purushaha. And there in the 11th verse of the third valley, what did he say? Sa Kashta Sa Paragatihi. That is the subtlest and the highest, and there is nowhere else to reach from there. That is the ultimate. I have to abide in that. But here, what is this Purusha that is being said in the 8th verse? Vyapakaha alingaye vacha. This Purusha is Vyapakaha, all pervading, Alingaha, Sarva Samsara Dharma Varjitaha, that which is free from all attributes. You cannot recognize this Brahman or Purusha. Purusha is not, a male or, a human being. Here, Purusha means this Atma. And this Purusha is what? Alingaha. Alingaha means that which cannot be recognized by any of the attributes that it has. There are no attributes. Therefore, Atma cannot be recognized by any of the attributes. Therefore, it is called as Alingaha. Sarva Samsara Dharma Varjitaha Eva. Yam Nyatva Guru Mukhena Jnatva, Shastra Mukhena Jnatva, Yam Jnatva. Knowing this, Guru Mukhena Shastra Shravana Dvara Jnatva Muchyate Jantuhu. Jantuhu, this human being is called as Jantuhu. Jayate iti Jantuhu. That which is born is called as Jantuhu. A human jiva is also born again and again. Therefore, here a human jiva is called as Jantuhu. Muchyate Jantuhu. This Jantuhu or Jiva is freed from samsara. Amritatvam cha gacchati, attains immortality. There is no question of coming back again and again. I am actually the immortal Atma. But because of my confusion, because of my avidya, I confuse myself to be the mortal jiva. I confuse myself to be the mortal body. But I am not the mortal body. I am not the traveling jiva. I am the immortal Atma. What comes and goes is the jiva, traveling jiva. What comes and goes is the mortal body. Mortality is with the body, not with me, the Atma. Therefore, he says, such a person who has understood this Purusha very clearly as Sakashta, Paragatihi, Yam Nyatva, Shastra Upadesha Dvara, Guru Mukhena Shastra Upadesha Dvara, the one who has understood the nature of this Atma, the nature of this Brahman to be nothing other than me, myself. Such a person, Amritatvam cha gacchati, he gets immortality. There's no question of getting immortality. Understands that he has ever been immortal. Mortality only has been his confusion. Mortality changes, multiplicity is nothing but my confusion. What is there is only one Atma. Ekameva Advitiya Atma. And that is me. And I am the Adhishtanam of this entire Anatma Jagat, including my body, mind, sense complex. Now, in the 9th verse, Yamadharma Raja wants to talk about the importance of a very sharp buddhi or intellect to grasp this particular teaching. How does one get this particular intellect, sharp intellect? By karma yogena chitta shuddhihi, upasana yogena chitta naishchalyam, and by following the values, daivi sampat, maturity of the mind. That is how the intellect is prepared to grasp this knowledge. So he says here, न सन्दृशे तिष्ठति रूपमस्य न चक्षुषा पश्यति कश्चनैनं हृदा मनीषा मनसाभिक्लृप्तः य एतद्विदुः अमृतास्ते भवन्ति. So he says, न सन्दृशे तिष्ठति रूपमस्य. This Brahman is not an object of my senses or my buddhi. It cannot be understood by my buddhi or the sense organs as an object. It cannot understand. I cannot understand this as an object. It is not possible. It does not stand in front of me with the name and form. Na sandrishe tishtati rupamasya. This Atma does not have a rupa, a name and form, which stands in front of me like an object where I can understand what it is. That is not possible. Then, na chakshusha paschati kaschanainam. No eye can see it. Nobody can see it with the eye. Supposing, see, my eyes see everything, but I cannot see my own eyes. What should I do? I should stand in front of a mirror and see my eyes. Similarly, I am that Brahman. I light up everything. Because of me, everything is known. I am that subject consciousness. Because of me, everything is grasped. I am the grasper consciousness. I am not the grasped object, but I am the grasper consciousness. And therefore, this Atma is something, this Brahman is something which I cannot avail as an object of my perception. Na chakshusha pashyati kaschana yenam atmanam. This Brahman, nobody can see with any of their sense organs. See means what? Nobody can perceive with any of the five jnanendriyas. Hrida, Manisha, Manasabhitriptaha. By a total focusing mind on what the Shastra says alone, in this buddhi alone, this knowledge of the Atma can be understood. What I am this Atma, it can be understood very clearly. Hrida, in my heart, in the buddhi which is in Hridaya Guha. Manisha, that means what? By a buddhi which is prepared for focusing on this knowledge, focusing for enough length of time. See, supposing we feel, Ayo, what is this being talked about? I don't understand anything and give up, we have given it up. But then, what is actually, see, a person who's doing a PhD and doing research, he or she is not going to get what he wants or what she wants in one experiment. One has to be committed to that I see, till I see the truth, I have to be committed. If a person who is doing the research can be committed to the truth to know till the truth appears, what about Atma? Atma is not a game where, one lesson I learn or one class I listen to, one session I listen to. It's not possible. I have to learn to focus my intellect. I have to learn to focus my mind. Total focusing of the mind on the object of my knowledge, which is nothing but this Atma. As it is told by the Shastra, again and again listening. Pauna punyena shravanam, mananam, nididhyasanam. It is a commitment of lives, not one lifetime. It is a commitment of lives. That is why many people are not interested in Vedanta. It is not something that which is very easily understood because, first of all, our minds, our intellects are not prepared for that. The very preparation of the intellect takes lives together. Exposing this intellect to Shastra and doing Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam takes so much time. That is why Krishna said, Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschit yatati siddhai. Hardly one person among thousands who wants to walk on this path, who wants to know this Atma. It is only a mind which is committed for a length of time. Hrida Manisha Manasa Abhikriptaha. This particular Atma is illumined in the buddhi by the proper understanding through the Guru and Shastra, which is called as Samyak Darshanam. Samyak Darshanam, a proper understanding, a proper perspective of vision. The clarity of vision of this Atma is got only by a committed life of focused Shravana Manana Nididhyasanam on this and says, Yaha Yetad viduhu amritaste bhavanti. Okay, those who have committed themselves to Vedanta, those who have committed to the Shastra Adhyayanam with the help of Guru, those who have a committed intellect and committed enough time in understanding this. It is only such people, yetad viduhu, they understand this Brahman. And they have to do this nididhyasanam in the form of this Panchakosha Viveka. They have to do the nididhyasanam in the form of the Shariratraya Viveka, Avasthatraya Viveka. It is only these people, yaha yetad viduhu. These are the people who know this Atma, yetad viduhu, and those who know Amrita te bhavanti. Those who have got this samyak darshanam of Atma as what? I am that Atma Swarupa, I am that consciousness, I am that Brahman, which is the adhishtanam of all the anatma that I see. I see and perceive only the anatma, either in the form of my body, mind, sense complex, or in the form of Jagat. But that which is the very content of this entire anatma, that because of which this entire anatma, Jagat, is alive and pulsating and sentient and able to do all its activities, is because of me, this consciousness, me, this Brahman. I, this Atma, Aham Brahmasmi, I am Atma, Brahma, iti, the one who has understood by contemplating ceaselessly on Atmaswarupam with the help of Guru and Shastra. Such a person, Amritaha te bhavanti, they become immortal. What is the meaning of immortal? I told you in the last verse, immortal means such a person is freed from all the samsara sagara, completely freed from the bondage of samsara. Then, in the next verse, in the 10th verse and in the 11th verse, Bhagwan Yamadharma Raja wants to talk a little bit about yoga, not Ashtanga Yoga the way it is talked about, but we use certain aspects of Ashtanga Yoga of Patanjali in preparing our minds. And this preparing of our minds and intellect for the purpose of this knowledge, here Yamadharma Raja calls as yoga, and he talks about this preparing of the mind, that making this mind subtle enough and capable of doing nididhyasanam on whatever has been learned by the Guru Mukhena Shastra Adhyayana Rupena, whatever has been heard, how to contemplate upon it. And mind you, it is from this 10th and 11th verse of Kathopanishad only Bhagwan Krishna has given the entire 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. The Dhyana Yoga, the 6th chapter, where Nididhyasanam is talked about, is taken from entirely these two verses of Kathopanishad. So, what does the aspect of yoga in this talk? Yoga here means preparing the mind and this nishchalatvam of the mind, where the mind is capable of being to able to concentrate, being able to focus, a one pointed focus and concentration on the object of my knowledge, Brahman. This particular pursuit of making this mind capable of one pointed concentration on Atma Swarupa at the time of Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasanam. This is what is called as yoga here, and two verses are talked about here. That is the capacity to dwell on what is heard by Shravanam, that Nishchala Chittam, this Chittam which should be this mind, which should be Nishchala, which should be capable of being available to this teaching. That is what is being talked about in the 10th verse and the 11th verse. What does the 10th verse say? Yada panchavatishtante jnanani manasa saha buddhishcha na vicheshtati tam ahuhu paramam gatim. So, a Nishchala Chitta is the goal of yoga. Samadhi, they say in yoga, Patanjali's yoga. Here we are not talking about that Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Here we are talking about a Nischala Chittam, which is the goal, which is capable of understanding what is being talked about by the Shastra, by the Guru during Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasanam. So, what does he say? He say that now the Buddhi has to have the total focusing capacity for this. So, how do we do it? He says, Yada pancha jnanani avatishtante. Here it is said, Yada panchavatishtante jnanani. We have to read it as Yada pancha jnanani avatishtante manasasaha. When the five jnanendriyas, organs of perception, manasa saha, along with the mind, buddhishcha, the buddhi also, na vicheshtati, when there is no disturbance, there is enough of shama, dama, uparama, and samadhana. If you talk about sadhana chatushtaya sampatti, shama, a well nigraha, a well controlled, well managed mind which does not run here and there. Dhamma, the indriyas are completely withdrawn from the world outside. Uparama, they are not going out all the time here and there. And then the buddhi, na vicheshtati, manaha, na vicheshtati. The mind and the buddhi are not going here and there, whereas they are focused on this one pointed Atma, teaching of the Atma. This is the Jignasu's discipline, what is called as yoga. For doing, for having a chittam, which is Chaitanya Nishchalatvam of mind, to have that, to understand what this Atma is, what this Chaitanyam is. So what he says, Yada, when Pancha Jnanani Manasasaha Avatishtante, when the five sense organs of perception along with the mind are quiet, abiding in the buddhi, and buddhi na vicheshtati. The sense organs, the mind and the buddhi are quiet, completely focused on what is being said. Tam ahuhu paramam gatim. Tam ahuhu paramam gati means that is called as paramagati in yoga, samadhi. But here Paramagati is not that. Paramagati is different in Advaita. In Upanishad, Paramagati Sakashta Sa Paragati, abiding Atma Swarupa is Paramagati. But here in yoga, making this buddhi, the mind and the indriyas quiet and capable of concentrating on this object of my understanding, object of my knowledge called Brahman. This is what is called as the Nischala mind, which is necessary for doing this Panchakosha Viveka Nididhyasana. Then in the next verse, in the 11th verse, it says, Tam yogamiti manyante sthiram indriya dharanam apramattastada bhavati yogo hi prabhavapyayo. So he says in this thing, this attaining the Chitta Shuddhi and Chitta Naishalyam is the immediate goal of this yoga. The ultimate goal, Paramagati, is abiding in the Atma Swarupa. What is the immediate goal of yoga? Which is nothing but abiding in this buddhi, which is capable of one pointed concentration on what is being taught. And the ultimate goal of this immediate goal is to abide in the Atma Swarupa. And therefore, in Krishna says in the sixth chapter, Atma samstham manakritva kinchidapina chintaye. Atma samstham manakritva. That means let the mind and the buddhi completely concentrate on Atma, which is the very subject, which is me, the consciousness, which I am wanting to know by Panchakosha Viveka, by Nididhyasanam, and gradually going from the grossest layers to the subtle layer. I am trying to know this. So, Tam Yogamiti Manyante, that absorption in this teaching is called as yoga. Tam yoga miti manyante sthiram indriya dharanam. That is what? Holding all the indriyas and the minds together. What is called as a yukta purushaha. Many times Krishna uses this word, yukta, a person who's together. What is the meaning of together? The sense organs, the mind, and the buddhi are all together, and they are having only one focus, one pointed focus of what this Atma is, one pointed focus on the Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasanam. Tam yogamiti manyante. This state, sthira indriyas, sthira manaha, sthira buddhihi, this is what is called as yogamiti manyante. And this is only the immediate goal. This is not the ultimate goal. Why? Apramattaha tada bhavati. Therefore, don't neglect this particular state. Apramattaha means alertness. I have to be extremely alert, and alertness is possible, concentration is possible only when the sense organs, the buddhi, and the mind are together and in a nischala manas, focused, one pointed focus is only possible. Apramattaha tada bhavati. That means what? A person becomes alert at such times. Yogo hi prabhava apyayoho. Because there is a possibility always that this concentration can come and go. The concentration, prabhava apyayo. This concentration comes and goes. Therefore, one has to become very apramattaha. Pramata means neglect. Pramattaha means a person who neglects. Whereas apramattaha bhavet, apramattaha tada bhavati. That means what? He becomes alert. When the indriyas, the mind, and the buddhi are together, shamadama uparama samadhana are there. And when all these three are in unison, concentrating with one pointed focus on what is to be known. What is to be known? Atma. In Shravanam and Mananam and Nididhyasanam, such a buddhi is called as an alert buddhi, and such an alertness is very necessary because yogaha prabhava apyayoho, because this concentration of the mind is subject to arrival and departure, prabhava apyayoho. Therefore, I have to be very careful that this state of the mind, which is called as yoga here, samadhi or concentrating dharana, dhyanam, okay, and samadhi, this dharana of the mind, focusing one pointed nischala mind, that is called yoga here. And this yoga, with this yoga, one has to be extremely alert, because if I'm not alert, this concentration can disappear, come back, disappear, and come back. And this particular thing, it should not happen. Now, in the next verse, we'll just take up the next verse, we'll complete the 12th verse. नैव वाचा न मनसा प्राप्तुं शक्यो न चक्षुषा अस्तीति ब्रुवतो अन्यत्र कथं तदुपलभ्यते. So here he says that in the 12th verse, what he says is, since this Brahman is not available for perception, this Brahman is not an object of perception. This Brahman is not seen or felt by any of the sense organs. Therefore, it is possible that I may conclude that there is nothing called Brahman. Isn't it? I may conclude, what is that? I don't see it. Where do I see the Atma? Where do I see the Brahman? I see only the body mind sense complex. I see only the world outside. Where is the question of Brahman? So, the first thing that I have to have when I do Brahma Vichara is to have Shraddha that there is this thing called as Brahman, which the Shastra is talking about, which the Guru is talking about. There is this thing called Atma Brahman. There is this consciousness which is the Adhishtanam of this entire universe. I have to have trust in the Shastra. Later on, this knowledge becomes aparoksha to me. I have to have the Shraddha in the Paroksha Jnanam Brahma Asti iti. If I don't even believe Brahma Asti, how will I say Brahma Aham Asmi? Straight away, it is not possible for me from where I am to say Aham Brahma Asmi. It's not possible. As I told you in the previous verses today itself, I am at such a gross level, my mind and buddhi are at such a gross level, it is not possible for me to straight away say Aham Brahmasmi. Aham, I am not the body mind sense complex, but I am this consciousness Brahman iti. Immediately, I cannot claim that. It is not possible for a common person, an Ajnani like me, even a Jnani who has been an Ajnani earlier before the Jnanam. It is not possible for us once for all to see this Atma, to see this Brahman and claim that I am this Brahman. It is not possible because I have been identified, I have been feeling one with this body mind sense complex. It is not so easy to straight away say that I'm not the body mind sense complex, I am the Atma. It's not that easy. I have to go through a whole lot. That's what we have been studying in the last 5, 6 verses. That I have to go through a very slow process of from grossest body up till the Atma. I have to take this Panchakosha Viveka Nididhyasanam. I have to do, and I have to have this capacity to concentrate on this. So it is not possible. But then I have to have the Shraddha, Brahma Astiti, I have to have Shraddha. Then only I will be able to pursue this pursuit further. So what does he say? Naiva vacha na manasa praptum shakyo na chakshusha. Neither the eyes can see it, nor the words can describe this Brahman, nor the mind can be seen. It cannot be grasped by the Jnanendriyas or the Karmendriyas or by the mind. Why? Asti iti bruvato anyatram katham tadupalabhyate. So it is ever the grasper, it is the subject. I am not the object. I am the very subject consciousness. I have to know about myself. Everything else is the object of me. I, the consciousness, everything is the object of this consciousness. I am the very subject consciousness. Therefore, I cannot see this consciousness as an object because this consciousness is me. If I gave you the example, I see everything by my eyes. But then if somebody tells me, where are your eyes? Have you seen your eyes? No, I have not seen my eyes. Does it mean that eyes are not there? They are there. Then how do I know? I see it in the mirror. I see my own eyes. I need mirror. Similarly, this grasper consciousness, this I, what I call as I, is this Atma. I am the very subject about whom I am trying to know, and I cannot perceive it as an object. I cannot see myself just like I cannot see my eyes. I require the Shastra Darpana. I require the mirror of the Shastra to see myself. Therefore, asti iti bruvataha anyatra katham tadupalabhyate. I have to understand anyatra. That means what? I have to understand that the Shastra is telling me that actually you are that consciousness. I will tell you where to look for. The Shastra acts like a mirror and shows me my own true nature. It does not reveal anything new. It reveals to me it's my own nature because it is the ever grasper. For, I should say, for Anyatra, for Ashraddhavan, a person who does not have any Shraddha in Brahma Asti iti, how can such a person know Atma? Therefore, I have to have extreme Shraddha in the Shastra and the Guru, which says Atma Asti. Initially, it is a Paroksha Jnanam, indirect knowledge. Later, with the help of Shastra and Guru, it becomes a Paroksha Jnanam or immediate knowledge where I can own up that I am this subject consciousness and not the Anatma. Next will be the last session. We will be completing the entire Kathopanishad in the next session. ॐ नन्दन्तु साधका सर्वे विनश्यन्तु विदूषकाः अवस्थाशाम्भवी मेस्तु प्रसन्नोऽस्तु गुरुः सदा सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखमाप्नुयात् ओम शांति शांति शांति. ओम नमो भगवते वैवस्वताय मृत्यवे ब्रह्म विद्याचार्याय नचिकेतसे च.